Welcome to Crypto Flywheel, podcast where we spin up strategies to turn your digital efforts into unstoppable momentum. Now, let's get that flywheel turning. What's going on with the left versus the right? This is theatrics, just theatrics. I've seen actors on both sides commit crimes and enable criminal acts while shaking hands behind closed doors, right? So both these sides are just corrupt to the core, I tell you. Both of them manipulate and both funnel power to the top. We all need to open our eyes, see what really is going on. The whole financial system is about to collapse. Know what we all hold and why we hold them. And trust me, you all will be rewarded. What you're seeing is the greatest wealth transfer in modern history unfolding in plain sight, while keeping you focused on distractions and rising asset prices. So I believe there are 3 coins that are the chosen ones. Can you guess? I'll tell you. It's XRP, QNT, and XLM. I know our listeners are well positioned in these 3 assets. Ripple, Quant Network, and Stellar Foundation each would be $1 trillion company in the next few years. This is not speculation. This is adoption happening now while the mass is being distracted. Something is on the horizon with QNT. I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but 23,500 QNT just moved from Coinbase Hot Wallet to Coinbase Prime. Does this mean more license lockup? You tell me. Most people approach investing the same way they approach a new opportunity in life. They look for what they can buy and sell quickly, a house, a shop, a piece of land that might go up in value. That instinct makes sense, right? So it's familiar and it feels tangible. But the biggest opportunity in history didn't come from owning things inside of a system. They came from owning the infrastructure that made the system possible. Ain't that right, Professor?
That's absolutely right, Digital X, and it's a great segue into what I wanted to say, and it's a really good intro that you just did with what we were talking about. Those 3 assets that you just talked about, are absolutely essential. Now, you take away the price level and you strip away like the speculation aspects of all these things and look at it from purely at a price level that would be functionally sufficient for, let's just talk about QNT right now to facilitate the institutional ecosystem. You're talking about Bitcoin like total supply right now. About 14.6 million QNT is what's available. As a fixed supply, right? And then you talk about its core facts that anchor this price logic that we will talk about here shortly. Is there's utility model, licenses, platform access, Quant Fusion is rolled out in the execution of that, node participation, you talked about it, bring your own node. All of this stuff we're talking about, most enterprises are taking part in, this particular token, right? And you don't need Quant to be too high on a purely non-speculative. You're talking about the sweet house being around for institutions to be around $1,000 to $1,500, and we're currently sitting at around $68. So when you were talking about all this, I'm thinking to myself, he's exactly right. So these 2 coins in one token, Professor X, is going to be our listeners that are holding this. This is absolutely life-changing when you're holding it for the immediate and long term.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've discussed it in the previous episodes as well, but I'm glad you brought up Quant because I want to tell our listeners, I'm going to give you a total addressable market value of where Quant's going to be, and it's going to be blown out the water. You just got to stay till the end.
I absolutely agree. I can't wait to hear talk about, we don't typically give price predictions per se. We give, the fundamentals as to why it can get there, right? And we're not hyping anything else. We're just talking about it, like you said, from non-speculative, more so a settlement layer asset. That's what it is, and that's what we're talking about here. Go ahead, let's get into it.
Yes, we're talking about Quant. So this is the easiest way to understand what Quant really is. Let me explain Quant's model to you guys. Enterprise pays in fiat. Quant buys QNT from the open market. QNT is locked for license duration. Overledger usage scales with transaction volume. And then QNT's demand becomes structural, not speculative. And license demand grows with every bank integration. You see locked QNT supplies increasing. Overledger transaction volume becomes enormous. And don't forget, Dentsu Soken, one of Japan's most important financial infrastructure integrators, has formerly partnered with Quant Network. And we spoke about this in a previous episode, so I'm sure you guys know about that. So if Japan becomes a programmable money hub using Quant, what does this mean for Quant, QNT? Quant becomes a programmable settlement layer for tokenized deposits, stable coins, interbank settlement, liquidity optimization, compliance automation, cross-ledger orchestration. And Japan is one of the world's most advanced markets for tokenized deposits and regulated digital money. This partnership positions Quant as the default interoperability and automation layer for that transaction. So what would be the potential market value flowing through Quant's system? In Japan term, Japan's interbank settlement volume, the BOJ net RTGS handles right now $4.7 trillion US per month. So annualized, that's $56 trillion US dollars per year. Then we got tokenized deposits. If you see tokenized deposits, Japan's commercial bank's deposit is 7.3 trillion USD. Let's take 5% of that. Let's say 5% becomes tokenized deposits. That's 365 billion US dollars tokenized. So Quant Tech is specifically designed to orchestrate tokenized deposits. Then we got stablecoin and digital yen infrastructure Japan is actively exploring. That's the regulated stablecoins, bank-issued digital money, corporate settlement tokens. This is a multi-trillion-dollar annual flow market, right? So then you have securities tokenizations. Japan tokenized securities market is projected to be $3 to $4 trillion by 2030. So if you look at it, Quant's interoperability and ISO 222 native architecture is directly aligned with this. So what is a realistic Overledger total addressable market value? The total potential annual flow through Overledger in Japan alone, I'm just talking about Japan alone, would be 1.2 trillion to 5 trillion per year. That's if I'm taking that 5%. Remember we spoke about 5%? Yep. Right? So it would be, I'm doing it on the low end. So 1.2 trillion to 5 trillion per year. This is just Japan. So what happens when the entire world is connected with Quant Network? There are... go ahead.
No, I was saying you're absolutely right, because recently, I don't know if you are aware, but on February 10th, that was what, today or yesterday, right? Yesterday, February 10th, Quant was chosen by the Bank of England. The key, Bank of England's Key Lab initiative. They're in collaboration with them, and it's to explore synchronization services between blockchain systems and the bank's upcoming real-time gross settlement infrastructure. What is that? That means that it's actually being utilized and locked up. These quants that are being locked up, like you said, they have to purchase that on the open market. That inherently is going to drive up the prices. I told you, banks' sweet spot right now would be somewhere between $1,000 to $3,000. Well, $1,500, let's just say, on the average, right? It needs to be there for it to be, that's non-speculative. So
that's on the low end.
That's on the low end, right? We're not talking about hype-driven, speculative price predictions here. That can go up. And what I've noticed, what I've seen, and what I've read from contents from different influencers and content creators is that it can get to an all-time high of possibly where Bitcoin was. So, but we're not going that far. For the banks to actually make this, it doesn't need to go into six figures. It can stay within the 4 or 5 figure mark and still function. But the problem with staying at the 4 or 5 figure prices is that there's not enough quant. There's only 14.6 million quants, right? So you're talking about a retail group, like you just said, 23,500 was just transferred over from a hot wallet. From quant to custody, right? Prime One from Coinbase. So similarly, there's so many people holding this and not selling. They're holding it for the long term as their primary bag. You know what I mean? So it has to, because of the locked up total, quants that are locked up, there's not even 14.6 million in that's going to be utilized for the banks. So you're talking about a price prediction somewhere possibly higher than what we are saying in the sweet spot of 3,000, 1,500 to 3,000.
Well, let me blow your mind. There are 195 countries in the world as of February 2026. That's recognized, right? So let's lowball the annual flow for each of these countries to $1 trillion per year. Remember, we already have Japan at 1 to 5 trillion at a 5%, right?
Right.
So let's say I'm lowballing it. The annual flow for each of these countries is $1 trillion per year. That would give Quant a total addressable market at $195 trillion. Now you tell me, what do you think QNT will be valued at? You do the math. Our audience, you do the math. Let me know.
You're talking
drop
about
it in the comment section, and let us know what the price may be. So I'm telling you guys, if you have QNT, you are holding a gem.
I agree. 10 million. Let's just say right now there's 10 million in the a circulating supply that people are not going to sell. I mean, people are selling and trading on, right? Let's just say, just to put it out there. And then that 4.6 is nobody's going to ever touch that. Okay, 5 million. Let's round it up. 5 million. So you got less than 10 million quant tokens to facilitate a $195 trillion market. So the math is, I don't know how the formula works, but
I did the math. When you do the math, I'm not going to tell you what the number is because you're going to think I'm blowing the smoke up your butts. But you guys do the math and you guys will figure out what that value would be.
So what are some of the variables that you have to take into consideration?
All I did was take the 5%, base it on 5%, and you got 195 countries, right? Let's just say you do 2.5%.
Let's say 10 trillion. Let's just say let's round it up to 10 trillion.
Yeah, let's just say 20 trillion or something, right?
Okay.
What would be the price of Quant if you're moving $20 trillion worth of value and information? I mean,
you're talking about daily? Daily or monthly?
Yearly.
Okay.
Yearly.
I don't know. I see $1,000 easy. I don't know. I'm not doing any math right now.
Yeah.
For giggles, just I don't want to say ships and giggles. Let's just put it out there.
Oh no, I can't tell you. Then they won't do their homework. Professor X, well, you have anything else to add, or
No. I'm just saying, like, so that the comments are absolutely needed. We look. All I have to say to our listeners is that it's coming. Right now, it's happening. Right behind the scenes, while like Digital X said in the intro, all the stuff that's happening around the world. Make no mistake, it's all about banks, right? The banking system. They're controlling everything, right? At this point, we as people or investors, let's just put it as investors, we cannot change the narrative. What we can do is position ourselves to benefit from it. So that's kind of what I'm saying. For our listeners, let's do our own research and get out there and understand that Quant, XRP, and XLM are the three chosen ones. It's not a coincidence, right? These are chosen for a reason. And those are facilitating this new financial system. So keep that in mind. I don't have anything further to add. If you do, if not, we can flywheel on out of here. Digital X.
Go ahead, Professor. Flywheel out of here.
So So as I say every episode, please comment, and we'll talk about that based off of we're talking about Quant because we're getting a lot of feedback on Quant and XRP and XLM. That's why we're narrowing it down to these three. But there are others. But the more comments we get and more likes and subscriptions that we're getting, we're basing our content off of that. And which is content meaning conversation. We're doing a little bit of digging, and we're talking about it in these episodes. So with that, today's Crypto Flywheel is signing off. Thank you.